This morning, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce the Honourable Emmalin Pierre, the Minister of Youth, Sports and Religious Affairs in Grenada, and she will give you the opening address this morning. Emmalin Pierre has been actively involved in youth development in Grenada and the region for many years. She comes from a very active background in the youth movement, having served in a number of youth organizations at the community and national levels. She has also been actively involved in service organizations such as the Leo Club and has been recognized locally and regionally for her leadership. She was a former president of the National Youth Council, deputy president of the Regional Youth Forum, and represented Grenada at the regional and international level. Minister Pierre has always been and continues to be an advocate for young people. She was the host of several radio programs and was the producer and host of the popular TV program Youth Vibes. She was a primary school teacher who later moved on to the Ministry of Youth as a deputy coordinator of youth. She was then appointed to the Upper House of Parliament at the age of 28 as the youth representative. She has been involved in frontline politics for the past 12 years and is now an elected member of Parliament for the rural constituency of St. Andrew South East and the current Minister for Youth, Sports and Religious Affairs. She is known for her passion for youth development, and with her knowledge and experience, she is not just making an impact in Grenada, but has been providing support to youth organizations and youth departments at the regional level. She is not only a politician, but a wife for 20 years and a mother of 3 boys. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and give a hearty welcome to the Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson. A lot said there. Let me use this morning and this opportunity to specially recognize my colleague ministers of youth from the region, various representatives here present. I want to also recognize representatives and officials from regional and international organizations present this morning, as well as our delegates and particularly our young people. I greet you with a spicy Grenadian good morning. And I'm extremely thankful for this opportunity to share with you and want to extend my very best wishes to all of you as you participate in this very, very significant, very important forum. Permit me, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the government and young people of Grenada and my fellow ministers of youth of the Caribbean community, to extend best wishes for the successful hosting of this inaugural Regional Academic Conference on Youth Development with its timely and relevant theme, exploring the youth empowerment imperatives of sustainable development. Indeed, when the history of youth development in the Caribbean is written, the vision and tenacity of Dr. Terrian Gilbert and all of our colleagues, and that of our colleagues in the youth cluster, must be properly recorded. And I'm sure we can all agree this morning. History would also record this special conference as an unprecedented, yet welcome collaborative effort among young people and their networks, youth development practitioners, the academic community, the University of the West Indies, government, multilateral and private sector institutions and agency. Indeed, an excellent partnership. I have noted the timeliness and relevance of hosting this inaugural Youth Development Conference to coincide with Caribbean Youth Day yesterday. Hosting this important conference in 2015 fit neatly in the historic timeline of global youth development. In case we are trying to recall, 2015 represents 70 years since the first major global youth conference was held in London, long before my birth, 1945. 2015 also represents 50 years since the first United Nations General Assembly Resolution on Youth, again long before my birth, in 1965. 2015 indeed marks 30 years since the first International Year of the Youth in 1985. 20 years since World Programme of Action on Youth in 1995. 5 years since the CARICOM Heads of Government Declaration on Youth. Yet the historic significance, legacy, and real impact of this conference lies not in the fact that it has been actualized, but rather it shall be defined by the intellectual rigor and robustness as you analyze the current and emerging youth development landscape, the relevance and profoundness of your policy recommendations, and your capacity to inspire, ignite, and nurture purposeful and collective action towards a positive youth agenda and youth development landscape in the region. I'm sure the question that is relevant is, if not now, when? In recent times, the global development discourse is populated with reference to youth development and young people's role in the global development agenda. Indeed, much effort has been put into broadening the participation of young people in the dialogue leading up to and the formulation of the Sustainable Development Goals. Additionally, we are not lacking in policy statements and impacting interventions by key global leaders as they have put to shape the youth development discourse. Permit me, therefore, to share with you two telling statements. Pope Francis, during his recent historic address to the joint sitting of the United States Congress, said, and I quote, "In particular, I would like to call attention to those family members who are most vulnerable, the young. For many of them, a future filled with countless possibilities beckons. Yet so many of them seem disoriented and aimless, trapped in a hopeless maze of violence, abuse, and despair. Their problems are our problems. We cannot avoid them. We need to face them together, to talk about them, and to seek effective solutions rather than getting bogged down in discussions." End of quote. The second statement is adopted from UNESCO's Operational Strategy 2014 to 2017, and it reads, "Around the world, young men and women are driving change and claiming respect for fundamental freedoms and rights, improve conditions for them and their communities, opportunities to learn, work, and participate in decisions that affect them. At the same time, due to persistent crisis, they are faced with an acute challenge affecting important aspects of their lives. More than ever, it is now time to improve investment in research, policies, and programs to create an enabling and rights-based environment where young people prosper, exercise rights, regain hope and a sense of community, and engage as responsible social actors and innovators." End of quote. Brothers and sisters, in my humble opinion, both statements succinctly articulate the essence of our current global youth development landscape. Of even greater significance is that they provide an appropriate framework and global context for your deliberations during the inaugural Regional Academic Conference on Youth Development. But what of our regional youth context? What about it this morning? Charles and Jameson Charles, 2014, contend that the regional youth development landscape has, over the last 20 years, undertaken a far more complex and challenging character. They also lamented the prevailing perception, even within the youth development fraternity and the wider citizenry, that young people are in a crisis and that they, the young people, represent a mortal threat to the established social order. Indeed, many publications on Caribbean youth development, including the World Bank report of 2003, Caribbean Youth Development Issues and Options, the CARICOM Commission on Youth Report 2010, Eye on the Future, and the 2013 USAID-sponsored report, Assessment of Youth Development in the Eastern and Southern Caribbean, have also made very disconcerting revelations regarding the profound impact of social exclusion, regarding economic marginalization, and the increasing hopelessness and despair among the youth cohort. A Caribbean Development Bank 2015 publication entitled Youth Are the Future: The Imperative of Youth Employment for Sustainable Development in the Caribbean addressed the vexing issue of youth unemployment in the Caribbean. In chronicling the alarming narrative of youth unemployment in the report, it emphasized the negative economic, social, and political implications, including a revelation that the estimated cost of youth unemployment in the Caribbean was $900 million in 2013 alone. Yet many, including Charles and Jameson Charles 2014 and Ryan et al. 2013, conclude that although challenges abound the majority of our young people in the Caribbean, they are coping with those challenges, and they continue to make significant contributions to the development of their countries within the Caribbean. It is my esteemed view that we are called to abandon our deficit discourse perceptions and perspective of young people and youth development. Again, the time is now. We are challenged to accentuate young people's access to opportunities for youth empowerment and their active participation as strategic partners in shaping and transforming our development and governance ethos. The clarion call for profound change in youth development landscape is deafening, and we must heed that call if we have to move forward in their interest. We can no longer be contented with the incremental accomplishment. Let us sunset the prevailing deficit discourse paradigm and embrace a positive youth development perspective. William Darmon, 2004, a leading proponent of positive youth development, postulated, and I quote, "The positive youth development perspective emphasizes the manifest potentialities rather than the supposed incapacities of young people, including young people from the most disadvantaged backgrounds and those with the most troubled history." While we identify the problem, while we speak about the problem, we must give hope to our young people. We must be prepared to make decisions that will influence positive change. We must. During the last few years, young people and other youth development stakeholders have lamented the disconcerting gap between policy statement and actual implementation. Question is, where do we go from here? Therefore, we have a solemn responsibility. We have a responsibility to ensure that this conference is not business as usual. We have a responsibility this morning to ensure that this conference serves as a platform for collective action towards a revolutionary redefinition of the Caribbean youth development pathway. We can no longer put our new wine in old wineskins. We must engage in appropriate cognitive restructuring even while we forge an intergenerational partnership to support youth development in this region. Let us therefore be bold. Let us therefore be creative. Let us collectively define the way forward and commit to this transformational agenda. While I reflect on the intellectual power, and we do have intellectual power, passion, and collective wisdom of the participants assembled here, I am comforted that this historic conference would serve as an impetus for this paradigm shift. It is time for action. Let us talk less. Let us do more. Let us live committed to do something. Let us live committed to be the agents of change that we are calling our young people to be. Brothers and sisters, it is what we do now that will determine tomorrow. We often say our young people are not just about tomorrow. They are about today. And so too, we are all called to do something today. What are we prepared to do after this conference? What are we prepared to be after this conference? Most importantly, what do we see our young people? Where do we see our young people after today? Today is what we have. Today we must do something to ensure that when we leave, we are not going to be returning discussing what we've discussed today. God bless all of us.
Thank you so much, Honourable Minister, for challenging us not only to talk and to discuss, but to commit to doing more. To embrace a positive youth development perspective, to give our young people hope while assessing the challenges which face us, and to ensure that this conference serves as effective action. Now, I'm going to open the floor for a short period of time to any questions to the Minister. I ask you to keep the questions brief in the interest of time. All right. So without further ado, we have microphones on this side and on my right. So we'll take a few questions at this moment.
What I was going to say, look, I have to sing now. Or a suggestion, or a comment, or any sort of a question. But I believe that in order to do any sort of effective work with young people, you need to fully engage with them first. It doesn't matter how good you are at your intervention, whatever kind of work you're going to offer. If you haven't got the initial engagement 100% right, it's irrelevant. So in order to engage fully, we need to do something engaging. And having been young once, meetings, committees, conferences are not engaging for them. We need some sort of figureheads that have that pulling power. So if we can get Chronics on board, if we can get Usain Bolt on board, the Reggae Boys on board, and do something that's engaging, you get a mass of young people together. Once you've got that, the ones who want to be on committees and attend conferences and meetings will emerge, but you have a mass of young people you should consult with. Rather than trying to get yesterday was referred to, the same 12 people over and over again. You're only getting a small view. So the other thought I have is that, and I was talking to somebody earlier, that maturity has nothing to do with age. And some young people are far more mature than me. And some people my age are far less mature than 18 and 19-year-olds. But we need to find the ones that are mature enough to take the lead, take a stand, and make some positive change. But engagement is about doing something engaging.
Any more questions, comments? I just state your name and
Good morning, Lane Robinson from Jamaica. What are some of the challenges that ministers of youth are facing? Sometimes we look at the challenges of young people, challenges of stakeholders, but what are some of the challenges that youth ministers themselves in their capacity as ministers are facing? Could you share some of those and maybe some of your own strategies of how you're dealing with those? Because I think that may be something we could reflect on together.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to first respond, Lane, if you permit me, to the comments made, particularly about engagement, and I think this is so powerful. Recently I attended a conference, and I'm not sure if it came across as a joke, but I was dead serious when I said that if we have to engage young people, we have to get into a relationship with them. And it's like a marriage. It is like how you get from the point of being friends to being married. And one of the things I'll reference in that is a statement that our Prime Minister made right after the elections, when he said, I don't have a choice to do this. Because when I looked into the eyes of the young people during the campaign, I just have to do this. And he spoke about connectivity, relationship, and to connect that with another conversation that I had with the Minister of Youth in the region just a couple months ago, when she was actually making reference to the need for greater engagement at the upper level. I said to her, you have to get them more involved in engaging with young people. And maybe connecting that statement to Lane's question. I got into the ministry as Deputy Coordinator of Youth, and there was a major gap. There was a major gap between the policymakers and the young people. And what was the strategy? And I'm answering both questions at the same time. What was the strategy? To provide opportunity for direct relationship building and engagement. So every activity that we had, the Prime Minister was invited. It didn't matter if it was a camp. It didn't matter if it was just a regular block meeting. He was invited. Why? Because if you don't feel what they feel, if you don't, and one pastor put it that way, if the shepherd don't smell like the sheep, something is wrong. Right? If the shepherd don't smell like the sheep, then something is wrong. And so that engagement, that relationship building makes it very difficult for him to say no at this stage. Because you see, he feels what they feel, and he sees and experiences it with them. And I recall one time when in the very early stages of that process, if I call it that, Prime Minister was invited to speak with the young people. And about 10 minutes before the session, he called me and he asked, what do you want me to talk about? I didn't prepare a speech. And I said, no, we don't want you to prepare a speech. We want you to feel the young people and to share with them your experiences. I almost fell off my chair because I didn't even know that part of his experience. When he came to the session and he started to speak to the young people about his experience when he went off to university. And he shared with them that when I went off to university, my parents couldn't afford. I got a scholarship, but I realized that I had to do something for myself. So I got a part-time job in a home for elderly persons, and he shared in very, very, very clear pictures what that was like, having to bathe them and clean them, and and the room got dead silent because I guess they didn't see the Prime Minister as just an ordinary young person like me when he was that age. And you see, that relationship and engagement led to something. Because I said to people, we came from a defended budget of 15,000 EC dollars. That person thought that was a lot. 15,000 EC dollars. That's when I joined the Ministry of Youth. And now we find ourselves, and the Prime Minister leading the defense now, that 30 million is not too much. And I believe that didn't come overnight. It came from that engagement. It came from that relationship building. And going back to Lane's point, that is a challenge. I've had a director and myself strategize. He said, look, I'm bringing you here to speak to the young people, but I want you sitting next to my Minister for Youth and my Prime Minister. I'm putting you in the middle because I want you to say something to them that they would understand that this budget for youth just cannot work in this present time. And of course, I'm not going to call country, I'm not going to call names, but there was a significant increase, right? Because when I went there, I understood that the objective was not just to speak to the young people, but to speak to the leaders who were present at that function, right? So it is a challenge, and it is a challenge, especially for young ministers of youth getting into the process. But we have to be strategic about it. We also have to make a very clear statement. As government, can we really be sustained without young people? How important are they in the process? Can this be sustained without them realistically? And the answer obviously is no. So when one opposition member in our country said, look, the budget for youth, you need to take 12 million and put to tourism. And I was surprised that anybody would say that publicly. I did not have to respond. I didn't say a word. Prime Minister led the conversation because you see, he is sold that our youth has to be given priority and has to be given center stage. So again, it is a challenge, but we have to be strategic. And I said to one of my colleague ministers just about 2-3 months ago, engage him in every single event that you have. So when you get to the cabinet level, because we have to be realistic, especially within our region, there is an economic problem. And it boils down to how do you divide the pie? There's tourism, there's health, all are important. But how do you divide the pie? I'll share with you my experience. It used to be a fight. And I'm not talking physical fight. Because health is going to say, well, I noticed you gave this there. And tourism says, I noticed you gave this there. But now I can share with you what a cabinet dialogue is like during the budget. That you do not get a response when a figure is quoted for youth, because everybody is on board.
Well, we'll take one more question.
With regard to making up the link in terms of policy decisions, I know that we did recently completed this youth policy process, and there was a very long procedure. So my question is, in terms of the urgency that you mentioned in your address, we need you mentioned now, and bearing in mind that what the young person who you consulted 1 year ago may have different views a year later, and young persons are basically transitioning through. The sense of urgency required and the time it takes for political will to become manifested in actions. How do you go about ensuring you achieve in terms of youth development in general?
We have a responsibility as policymakers, and if you don't have a passion for youth, this would become another job. If you don't feel young people, this would be a passion. This would be another job for you without a passion. And if you ask me, I probably have some very radical views as to how you select a minister for youth and how do you appoint a minister for youth and all that. Maybe very radical, because you can't not come from a background of engagement with young people and get there and automatically understand and deliver on what is expected. But you see, the process, one has to understand what are the fundamentals, what are the basics. When we got back into office, and I did speak of this while in opposition, you can't be driving the process of youth development without a national youth policy. If you're attempting to do that, then you already don't understand where you're going. And so what we did was to engage Dr. Henry Charles right here with all of his experience, and that is another thing. If you're going to engage someone in terms of developing a policy, let us be sure that we are engaging somebody who understands what they're doing and who knows what they're doing. There was one instance where someone was brought in from overseas in one country and was given a contract to do a youth policy. And the good thing is that the Minister of Youth then, in that particular country, said, look, this can't be right. There was absolutely no engagement with young people. He was given a contract, he sat in his office, spent some time, developed the policy, handed over, and then returned to wherever he came from. And the wisdom of the then minister, I guess after engaging in sessions like these, understood that this cannot be a youth policy that we want to actually implement. So that process, you have to start from somewhere, and we can start any day. Because you've had youth departments for years existing, but it does not mean that you can't stop today and say, let us get it right. So that process, which Dr. Charles would have led, would have actually engaged young people at the basic level, consulting with them, engaging them. What is it that you want? And we now have a responsibility, and sometimes that's when we drop the ball. We now have a responsibility in the implementation process to actually engage young people and have them part of the implementation and the monitoring process. And only this morning, the Minister from Belize and I was speaking about this, and how they are engaging young people in the process of actually implementing their national youth policy. And that consultation process must not just be at the stage of developing the policy, but continuously. And we have to be prepared as actors there, that as the views change, as the demands change, as the participation process reveals new things, that we would be flexible to be able to engage them further and to make necessary changes and inclusion based on that. This has to be about them. This has to be about them, and that is why we are also moving. The National Youth Council, we have had tremendous struggles, like some of the Caribbean countries. But we've attempted to do something new. Some countries like St. Lucia has done it many, many years ago, to actually implement as an act of parliament the National Youth Council. In other words, it is not about what some people in office today want or a group of young people, and maybe that's why we're where we are. Our policies get to the level of our cabinet and go further. So our next government comes in and decides, well, we want to do this a different way, we want to do it over. But when you engage people in the participation process, engage them in developing those policies, and you get them to the level of the parliament, where people of different political views sit and agree we are going that way, then you stand a chance of having that kind of continuity and involvement in the process that we speak about.
Well, unfortunately, that is all the time we have for questions this morning. I want to thank the Honourable Minister for engaging us so passionately this morning, for speaking from her heart. And I want to say to the young people in the audience this morning that you have a unique opportunity which several young people across the Caribbean don't have this morning, and that is you have ministers of youth, you have a Deputy Prime Minister, you have directors of youth, permanent secretaries, academics in our midst this morning, all of whom will make significant policy input. And you have to seize the opportunity this morning to share your perspectives and to influence those policies, not just in your country, but across the Caribbean. As the Minister spoke, she spoke about meeting with other ministers of youth and having that influence in terms of getting the budget raised in terms of funds to help support the departments of youth in other countries. So we want to thank you again, Minister. And at this time, we're going to welcome the group Articulet, and they're going to perform a piece called Edutainment.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much. So my name is Randy McLaren from Articulet Edutainment, and as you see, we're setting up for something that's a little different. What we do is edu-drama, edutainment, and we'll be presenting Jeline and Veronique from the group. Will be presenting a piece this morning that is looking at the whole issue of migration and remittance, what we in Jamaica call the barrel child or the barrel Pickney. So we'll be exploring that issue using edu-drama. So we're setting up at the moment, so just give us about a minute or two to get the setup in place.
Why isn't she answering? Well, listen to me. You better pull up your socks. Your grades are horrible.
Hello?
Hello! Hi, sweetheart. How are you doing?
I'm great. Just great. I'm so great. It's not too windy, it's not too sunny. I'm just great.
Oh, wonderful. It's a bit chilly here.
Okay.
So you got anything new to tell me?
No?
But you're good though.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes.
All right. Well, I spoke to your aunt and... How is your aunt? and the rest of the family?
Mommy, everybody all right. You want to go back to grandma?
Grandma can't manage you anymore, man. Have you done your homework? Have you ironed your uniform? Have you eaten?
You know, I was just about to go prepare something to eat. So come back little later now, mommy.
Oh, my daughter going cook. I'm so proud of you. So what you will make?
A sandwich.
Oh, okay.
Mommy, me talk to you later. You're all right.
No. I want to stay with you while you prepare it. As a matter of fact, I have a surprise for you. The laptop that I bought you, turn it on.
You turn on already.
Oh, okay. So, click on the Windows thing. Do you like it, by the way? The laptop?
Yes, thanks.
Okay. So before I sent it, are you ready for the surprise? I downloaded this really cool program that makes you talk to whomever you want and see them at the same time for free. We can talk on it right now. It's called Skype. Yes.
Mommy, I'm going to eat something. So we call about a little more. You're all right.
I want to see you. You know, you don't send me no pictures on Facebook. I'm not even sure I remember how you look.
Me tell you I'm hungry. I want to eat a little food and I'm hungry.
Okay, fine. I just had some free time at work and I thought it would be nice to spend it with your daughter. But it's all right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Mommy loves you.
Mommy nobody wants. What is your Skype name?
British hotness turn off 1 point.
All right. I got ideas.
All right, I'm hanging up now.
But you are not here. So if you call it,
What's going on with your grades? I spoke to your aunt. Okay, fine. I won't badger you. So what kind of sandwich you making?
Bully beef.
Really? So why don't you try something a little healthier? You know, like tuna. You know you never eat the tuna I sent you.
You tell you to stop saying come and do it like
But tuna is lovely, dear. We can make it together. Get all your ingredients. The bread, the lettuce, onion, no, not lettuce. The onion and the mayo, of course, and the tuna. And my secret ingredients, sugar. This is going to be so much fun. Mother-daughter bonding. Chop up your onions as small as possible.
okay. So when you home so late from work, you say you get some time off. And I'm on midnight over there now.
It's not that late.
I saw late your workplace open.
It's like going foreign, my love. Careful with the knife.
I can manage you.
Yes. My daughter, big no. Look for you. You all have breath.
Inappropriate?
So, what's your boyfriend name?
Still inappropriate.
You know, you can tell me these things you do. Open the tuna and drain off the excess liquid. I'm like your best friend.
No, I already have one of those. I thought that the liquid was supposed to stay.
No, it makes it a little too saggy. So since I'm not your best friend, then who is?
You don't know him.
Him! Your best friend is a him?
Yes. You sound surprised.
Well, yes, because it's a boy, and we don't want you to talk to no boy. They only want one team.
Great advice, best friend.
You bring him out to me. Crush the onion and the tuna together. You must think I'm going to send my money for you to waste your future.
It's just my friend. You're annoying me.
Drop the attitude now! You just talk to me anyway, since I come on here like I'm bothering you. Am I bothering you?
Yes.
Don't make I put you in a place!
You actually need to be here to put me in my place.
I will let your auntie do it for me.
Oh yes, as usual. Leave the parenting to other people.
Don't say that! How can you say that I'm not being a good parent when I'm up here working my behind off to send you to school?
Or better yet, punish me by not sending me lunch money for the rest of the week.
Look how hard I'm working! And some mayo! You must think I'm going to send you my money for you to waste the future. Why are your grades so bad? Are you skipping school? Where are you when your best friend boyfriend go?
I don't want to stay here. I want to go back to grandma. At least you know make me feel no way. I'm tired of you move around now, man. I feel like me a bother people. I want to come to England.
You know, I'm working really hard to work out the paperwork so you can get to come and see me. But until then, focus on school.
I don't want to stay here.
Up here is not much better, you know.
Mommy, you're there foreign. You might not start new life without me. You let me know nobody.
It's not as easy as it seems.
Really? You look very happy to me.
for people who pay me what they feel like. This house, this computer, none of it's mine. Most of my money goes to you and to Grandma, and now you're on to help out. But it don't matter to me. Because I want you to have a better life, better opportunities. Happy? Well, I guess because I see a better future for you.
Then come on.
I can't.
Why not?
I just can't.
You don't care. You don't love me.
How can you say that I don't... What do you want me to do? Come home with no qualifications to do what? Sit and stare in your face?
You know no mother. You know no mother to help me with my homework or cook my dinner. You know no mother to scream out my name on my graduation. You know no mother to go carry me go a movie and buy me ice cream. You know no mother. You feel like me not nobody.
It breaks my heart to hear you say that. And I miss you so much. And I'm working hard so that we can get to see each other again. Honestly, I don't like being here and not being able to leave. I feel like a prisoner. But I don't want to tell you these things because I don't want you to feel like you're a burden, because you are not.
So you want me open up and you keep secret.
I guess you get your stubborn pride from me. But at least we're having a meal together. I love you.
I love you too.
Here's to mother-daughter bonding. Cheers.
I want sugar.
Thank you very much. That's Vernique Smith and Julian Robinson. You can go ahead and give them another round of applause. Thank you, Doc, for having us being a part of the conference. This is what we do. You know, we call it edutainment, edu-drama, forum theater, whatever you wish. But for workshop, conferences, we take the issues and we put them in creative formats to make them, in a way that everybody can understand. It's real issues, real stories, but this is how we do it as we entertain change. Enjoy the rest of the day, and see you this evening at about 6:37 for another one called Birthday Talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much again. Edutainment by Articulet. All right. I think I'll have some of the tuna, because I skipped breakfast this morning. So see them outside. No sugar, no sugar. All right, so at this time, I'm going to ask the minister to come again. All right. And I'm going to invite Mr. Timothy Ferdinand, the outgoing president of the Caribbean Regional Youth Council. And let me personally say Timothy is one of the hardest working young men I've known to date. He's done a lot of work in youth development for the last 3 to 4 years. Timothy?